Today, we are diving deep into a topic that's surrounded by myth and misunderstanding: what it actually means to be gifted. The official term you'll see in the research is high abilities/giftedness, or AHSD for short. But we're about to see why this is so much more complicated than just having a superpower.
So, just for a second, think about it. When I say that word gifted, what's the very first picture that pops into your head?
Yeah, for most of us, it's something like this, right? We picture a kid who just aces every single test without even trying, a young genius at a piano, someone whose whole life just seems to be set to easy mode.
But what if I told you that for so many people who are actually living with this, that could not be further from the truth? The reality is much more like a delicate and sometimes really painful balancing act. It is a true double-edged sword, you know? It offers this incredible, shining potential on one side and a whole lot of struggle on the other. To really get our heads around this, we have to push past that simple genius stereotype and get a clear definition of what we're actually talking about here. So, according to the official definitions, giftedness is a neurobiological condition. And that's key. It means it's something you're born with. And it is not just about having a crazy high IQ. It's about having this remarkable potential in a whole range of areas. Sometimes one, sometimes a bunch of them combined. We're talking intellect, sure, but also creative thinking, leadership ability, incredible artistic talent, or even really exceptional physical psychomotor skills. And this, right here, is where we get to the real heart of it all, the two sides of the coin. You'll often hear experts talk about the delights and pains of giftedness, and honestly, that's the perfect way to think about the real lived experience. So let's start with the side we all think we know. Let's talk about the delights, those incredible abilities that come with this unique way of being wired. The cognitive strengths can be absolutely amazing. I mean, we're talking about the ability to learn new things at lightning speed, a natural gift for thinking in abstract, really complex ways, and this deep, insatiable curiosity about, well, everything. These individuals often have huge vocabularies, an amazing memory, and this knack for coming up with 10 different creative solutions to a single problem. It's a mind that is just humming with energy, always wanting to learn more. But here's the thing. That humming, high-powered brain doesn't just exist in a vacuum. The other edge of that sword reveals all the hidden struggles that so often go hand in hand with these incredible gifts. And what's so striking here is how these challenges are often just the flip side of the strengths we just talked about. That intense mind, it often comes with incredibly intense emotional sensitivity. That drive to be great can turn into a crippling perfectionism, where one little mistake feels like the end of the world. A mind that just works differently can lead to feeling profoundly alone, isolated. And all of this can bubble up as anxiety, depression, and something called asynchronous development, where you might have the brain of a 20-year-old but the emotional tools of someone way, way younger. And that intensity, it goes way beyond just thoughts and emotions. One of the biggest and most misunderstood challenges is sensory hypersensitivity. It's basically the feeling of living in a world where the volume is always turned up to 11. This quote from an educational consultant, Ozeni Ribeiro, just says it all. When she asks parents to describe their gifted kids, the word that comes up more than any other, more than smart, more than quick, is sensitive. And this isn't just about hurt feelings. It's about how they physically process the world. So, what is hypersensitivity, really? It's an excessive, heightened reaction to just everyday stuff. For someone wired this way, normal sounds can be deafening. Regular lights can be painfully bright. The little tag on the back of a shirt can feel like sandpaper. Their nervous system is just taking in way, way more information than a neurotypical person's. To make this more real, let's just imagine a trip to the mall. Okay, so for a neurotypical person, it's, a busy place, there's music playing, people are talking, there are bright lights. But for someone with sensory hypersensitivity, that exact same place can be a full-on sensory assault. The music from 5 different stores overlapping, the echo of footsteps, the glare from the lights, the feeling of the crowd, it all just hits them like a giant, overwhelming wave. So how do you cope with that? Well, one common way is a behavior called stimming. You might have seen it, things like flapping hands or rocking back and forth. It's often misunderstood, but it's really a protective reflex. It's a way to self-soothe, to calm a nervous system that's just been completely overloaded, and to block out all that unpredictable stuff from the environment. Now, because of these overlapping traits, the intense interests and the sensory issues, giftedness gets confused with other conditions all the time, especially autism. And figuring out the difference is absolutely critical to make sure someone gets the right support.
Okay, so this table breaks down some of the key differentiators. Now, while both groups can have those intense interests and sensory challenges, people identified as gifted tend to show really advanced social skills and a deep capacity for empathy. Their interests are deep, for sure, but they're also often varied and can change over time. In contrast, autism is more often characterized by pretty significant challenges with social interaction, with reading social cues, and with interests that tend to be more narrow and fixed. This is why a proper, multidisciplinary evaluation is so important.
And that brings us to the most important and, honestly, the most hopeful part of all this. Understanding the challenges is step one. But the next step is figuring out how we can actually nurture this incredible potential so it doesn't just get snuffed out by the struggles. So the big question is, what does that support actually look like? What can we as families, as educators, as a society do to help these brilliant, sensitive minds not just get by, but truly flourish?
The sources all point to a pretty clear three-part approach. First, it all starts with a really thorough multidisciplinary assessment, something that goes way beyond a simple IQ score to get the full picture. Second, personalized education is an absolute must. That might mean enriching their current classes with more depth and complexity, or it might mean accelerating them to a grade level that actually matches their intellect. And finally, and this is maybe the most crucial part, they need consistent emotional and social support to help them navigate their intensity, their perfectionism, and all those sensory needs.
This last quote from Olzeni Ribeiro really just reframes the whole conversation, doesn't it? This isn't just about helping one kid feel better. It's about realizing that these children are a precious resource. They're unique minds. If we can protect them, nurture them, and help them develop, they have the potential to give back to society in unbelievable ways.
Which leaves us with a really critical question to sit with. When we call sensitivity a weakness, or when we mistake intensity for a behavior problem, how many brilliant minds are we failing? How much human potential is just getting lost simply because we don't take the time to understand both edges of that sword? Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.